Come on. Well, here it is, folks. This is the new bike. If you watched my MT-09 video a little while back, you'll know I was in the hunt for a new machine. Tried a whole bunch of different bikes and landed on this one. So today, just want to have a little chat about how I arrived at this bike, what I had to get rid of to make room for it in the garage, which was a bit disappointing, and also a couple of little observations about the bike so far. So before we get moving, this is pretty much a stock standard 899. The previous owners added these grips around where your knees sit. One thing I've noticed already is they're totally inadequate. I really want to get some proper tank grips here pretty soon, because you tend to do a lot of slipping and sliding around in the seat, and you just need, I definitely need a bit more something to grip onto with my legs. You can see here it's got a tail tidy, which is cool. One less thing I have to do. The factory one goes like all the way down here, which looks horrible, but this one's already got the tail tidy on it, which is cool. Another mod that the previous owner put on there are these Diablo Super Courses, which is cool, but they are really soft and they're going to last about 2,000 kilometers, I'm told. So there's a good chance that when it comes time to replace the tyres, I'll probably get something a little bit more road oriented. All depends what you're going to do with the bike, right? Anyway, yeah, other than that, it is a standard 899. It's a 2014 model. I bought it with about 7,000 kilometers on it. That's good as gold. The previous owner had a 1299 and a garage full of other nice toys, so I think this one's had a pretty good life so far. But yeah, let's take it for a spin and talk a bit more about it, shall we? Oh, it's crazy hot sitting here. Let's get moving, get some airflow happening. So I do love the startup sound of this. So here we are. I'm about 50 kilometres out of Sydney on some nice back roads, and I swear this thing is in its element. Alright, so first thing to talk about, garage update. Unfortunately, I've only got room for 2 bikes at my place. That means one for me and one for my girlfriend. Getting the 899, obviously we had a third bike, so I had to make a tough decision, and unfortunately we had to sell the DRZ, which was a sad day because I was just starting to get familiar with the DRZ. I'd taken it on a couple of longer trips, but there were 2 main reasons we sold it. The first one is that I live about a 2-hour ride from a national park, and they're very strict here about where you can ride dirt bikes. So yeah, a 2-hour ride just to get on some dirt, that was problem number 1. And then problem number 2 is, if I'm mostly riding this thing, the other bike is mostly my girlfriend's bike to ride, and she's a much bigger fan of the 500 than she was the DRZ, so I was like, cool, no worries, we'll hang on to the 500 and sell the DRZ. From a selfish point of view, I would have preferred a road bike and a dirt bike instead of 2 road bikes, but you know, got to make sure the GF's happy on the bike she's riding as well, right? So that's where we're up to. We've got a 500R and now the 899 in the garage. Oh my lord. So the second topic I wanted to talk about in this video was why did I buy an 899? Well, if you watch my MT09 video, you'll know, I was in the market for my next bike. I knew it was either going to be a sports naked bike or a sports bike. And I rode about half a dozen bikes just to get a feel for what kind of thing I liked. And that was really worthwhile because I always had a worry that with my tall frame, a sports bike just wasn't going to happen. And when I sat on the GSXR, I was like, oh god, no chance. But then I sat on the Daytona, and the difference it makes having a narrower chassis for me is massive. Whatever way it's changing the angle, it just made things so much better for me. And yeah, and the crazy thing with this thing, being an L twin, with them facing long ways, it's basically one cylinder wide, this bike, so it's a very narrow bike when you sit on it. And I sat on this thing and I was like, oh wow, sports bike is totally doable. But then I thought about the comfort factor as well, and I was like, those naked bikes, they're pretty appealing, it's so comfortable. Tried a Street Triple, tried an MT09, both incredible bikes. Like, I could have so much fun on them, I could tell. But I guess what kind of swung me back towards the sports bikes was, I don't commute every day, I don't need it to be massively comfortable, and I did do some track driving in a previous life, and there's no doubt in my mind I'll take this to the track. So I figure while you're young and your body can handle the committed seating position, why not run a sports bike? Enjoy that whole experience and then get something a bit more upright a bit later on. That's the basic idea. And then this thing. Little old 899. Fair to say I fell in love with this bike pretty quick. I hope a fraction of what I'm hearing comes through the mic. Because it is just the most glorious sound. It growls and barks at you. Oh man. So good. And the other cool thing I noticed early on was in wet mode, it sounds cool enough, but then when you put it in sport mode like I am now, the whole pitch of the induction changes. It's like whatever the mapping is, it actually opens it more. And it just sings. It's incredible. Something I have had to get used to though is, everybody said older Ducati L twins like 848, 1098, were really torquey engines. But this thing wants you to rev it. It actually doesn't really come alive until like 6,000 or 7,000 RPM. But then, oh mama. And it makes sense, right? It's a Super Quattro, it's an over-square engine, it's designed to rev, so you're not going to expect it to be a big torquey engine like the old long-stroke motors. But that's okay with me, because I mean, look at this. The good thing about it being a Revy engine as well is that you can ride it around off the boil and it's pretty chilled. So you can kind of consciously decide to chill out for a bit and you can give it a little twist down low and it's pretty chilled out. But then if you drop it back a gear, you get access to that. The overwhelming sensation when you're sitting here though is this L-twin, man. Well, for me personally, it's a boyhood dream. My dad was always a massive fan of those Shelby Cobras, big V8, side exit pipes on both sides. And it's funny, this thing reminds me a little bit of that. It looks like a sports bike, but it sounds like a muscle bike or something. It's got a really bassy thump to it. But then as you rev it, it just starts to sing. So there you have it, folks. The new machine, 899 Panigale. Very happy with it so far. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you think I made the right decision? Have you ridden an 899? If so, what did you think of it? Be keen to hear your thoughts. Until next time.